Lily. She is 5 months old now, and she is a Chihuahua Terrier mix. She's a Chihuahua Jack Russell Terrier mix. And we've been working on training her, and just kind of me getting used to now raising a puppy along with a now 2-year-old. So that's been a very big addition to the family, and a lot has just been going on. I haven't really had the time to come on here and make videos. I celebrated my son's 2nd birthday last month. I went to a Lake Isabella trip to go see my friend, and we had a Laughlin trip, so it's been a pretty busy few months. And so I wanted to come on here because I miss making videos, and also I wanted to do story time on my first job, how I got it and what that was like. And I'm holding my microphone because the attachments are kind of weird. I don't know what happened. I guess it's because I haven't been on here in a few months, so nothing wants to work right. The earphones are like halfway out of my ear. So if I have them pushed in all the way, I can't hear how I sound on the microphone, and I have to have this up here. So let's get into how I got my first job and how that went. So I had just graduated high school in 2014, and to start with, I wasn't able to take the SATs and ACTs because my mom wasn't letting me go to college because she didn't have enough money, and also I didn't have any scholarships, and she just didn't want me taking the tests because I wasn't going to go to college, her words. So that, you know, I'm pretty upset about that. But so after graduating high school, since I didn't go to college or anything, I had no direction of where I wanted to go. I was just, you know, in a mindset of like, my mom's paying rent, like I had no sense of responsibility, and I was just like trying to talk to somebody, like a guy online, since my mom didn't want me meeting people. She didn't want me going out, period. She's like, well, I guess I'm resorting to like meet people online, which is not ideal at 18. And so that was where my mind was at. And so she started, after like a few months, she was like, you need to start looking for a job because you need to help me pay the rent. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And she started like putting me in she enrolled me in an adult school to take a computer class. I don't know why she put me in an adult school. I thought that, I didn't know what an adult school was. I thought it was like for people that were behind, to say the least, and like I just didn't feel like I was meant to be there. So I took the computer course, And then she saw a flyer at school to be a certified nursing assistant. Now, when I was reading the pamphlet for the position, or for the course, I thought, this is like a nurse job. Like, this sounds pretty cool. Like, I could do this, you know. I hear they make really good money. So I was like, yeah, like, let's do it, you know. It was a 9-week course. There was a 9-week one, and then there was an 18-month one. I was like, I'm just gonna do the 9-week one. Let's do it. And so we started the process for that. And when we finally started doing clinicals, and they took us to the facility that we were going to be assigned to, I did not see what I saw coming. I saw things that I didn't want to see, and I was in shock, and I just had to, like, you know, just kind of wipe it away and, like, jump into the job, because I was helping a CNA with a patient, and it was just very traumatizing for me, like, in the beginning, because I'm like 18 and I see all these crazy things, like, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what the heck is this? I didn't sign up for this. This was not in the pamphlet. They sure do know how to word things differently. And so after a while, I became really good friends with a resident there. She apparently lived in the same city. I think it was Buffalo that Lucille Ball did back then. And so she was telling me about her back then, and so we just, like, connected very well. I wasn't assigned to her all the time, but, like, I did have to help with her pretty often. And she was like my main focus to look forward to when I would sign in. I don't remember her name though, but so then it came time to take the test, the state test. I passed the state test. I get my certificate within the month. And once I got my certificate, my mom was like, okay, start applying. You gotta start applying to places. You need to get a job. And I didn't have, did I have a computer? I don't remember. But I think I was trying to make a resume, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I'm like, how am I supposed to make a resume when I have no past experience with working, like, at all? I had nothing to put on a resume. I'm like, what am I supposed to put on here, you know? It's my first job. So, like, you know, I went online on Google Images, and I just kind of based my resume how I found a resume online, you know? I just put what I could. But it was, like, embarrassing, you know? And so I guess I was taking too long to find a job, and my mom was calling for me. She was calling facilities for me to get me a job. She was acting as me to get me a job. She said, I'm Michelle, and I'm 18 years old, and I just got, I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, don't do that. Like, you are, like, first of all, when I finally get there in person, they're gonna be like, that's not the same voice that I heard on the phone. I'm like, well, what in the world? I just didn't like how she was going about what she was doing. I thought it was inappropriate. That's me, I guess. And so she actually somehow got me an interview with this subacute facility. So subacute facility is where mainly the residents there had some kind of trauma happen to where they have a hole cut right here and they're breathing through a respiratory tube, and or they have a G-tube to their stomach or to their nose so that they can eat that way. And so there was a subacute floor, and then in the same facility there was a rehabilitation floor where the residents were like more mobile. They just needed help with, like, you know, maybe moving from their bed to like the bathroom or something like that, you know. So I was like, okay. And so I have been bringing my resume, and I'm, you know, excited but nervous at the same time. So I'm like, this is my first interview ever. Like, and it wasn't even me that like got the interview. My mom got me the interview. And so we get there, and I go up to the receptionist, and I said, you know, I'm Michelle, and I'm here for an interview at this time. And she said, oh, well, the person that was supposed to interview me was out at lunch, and she wouldn't be back for another 20-30 minutes, and would I mind waiting? And I was like, okay, sure. Like, I thought it was odd that like we had agreed on a timed interview, and then she was not there at that time. She was at lunch. I said, okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and I'm not even sure if I'm like dressed correctly for an interview. I didn't have a lot of like nice clothes back then. Like, I don't know. So I mean, I wore what I thought would be best. So here she comes with somebody, and she sees me, and she kind of like dismisses me in a way, but she says hi, and she takes my resume. She's like, I'll be with you in a minute. She takes my resume. So I'm sitting right here, for example, and then her office is right here. So it's right across from where I'm sitting. She goes in her office with my resume and leaves the door a little bit open so that I can kind of like, I can hear everything that's going on in there. So I'm sitting there for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden I hear like a scoff, like very rude. And I was like, immediately when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, she's making fun of my resume. And she's like, this just might be me overthinking everything, but like, you know that the door is open and I'm sitting right there across from your office, and I know that you know that I can hear you. Here you have your reaction to my resume. Like, from that moment on, I was like, I don't like her. I don't like this lady at all. I think she's rude, and like, I think that was very unprofessional what she did. Again, it could have been something else, but I really don't think it was. I really think it had to do with my resume. And so another 5 or 10 minutes go by, like I'm still waiting to talk to her. Like, I feel like she should have taken me in her office with her and like read my resume with me in the room. Anyways, so she finally calls me in, right? And she just has like a very smug, I don't know the word exactly to use, aura, vibe. And she did comment on my resume. She's like, so I see that you didn't go to college, is that right? And I said no. She's like, why not? And I said, because my mom wouldn't let me. She said that that she couldn't afford it. I was honest. And I don't remember what was said after. And she asked me, I think, where I saw myself in 5 years. And I can't remember what I said to her. But, so basically, and I don't know if this is like, I don't know if it's legal or not, but so at the very end, she's like, you're hired if you go to college. So in that moment, I was like, yes, because then I've always wanted to go to college. I wanted the experience. And now I get to tell my mother that my boss is only gonna hire me if I go to school. So we need to find a way to make that work, right? But then later on when I left, I was like, wait a minute. That was like I can't think of the word right now. I'm like, if I do this, you'll hire me? What? Can you do that? And so I said, okay. And she hired me. And I was like, I have a job. I have a freaking job. And so then she asked me, she asked me which shift I wanted, and then when she actually read her notes, she's like, oh, wait a minute, the only shift that we have right now available is graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, what the fuck? But I was like, sure, like, I don't really have a choice, do I? So, my orientation was literally the next night. And so I get there at 11, and it was just, this is the first time I've stayed up. Like, it was so weird, like, your whole life, just getting up in the morning, going to bed at night, and then now it's like the opposite, like out of nowhere. It was like, I don't know, it was such a weird feeling. So the first two, I had, I think, 3 days of orientation. All 3 days went really smoothly. And I was like writing all my notes, and I was just trying to like gather as much information as I could before I started my first day. So I started, my first day was like the first week of December of 2014. That first shift of that it was the most it was so bad. Like, I go in and I find out that we are short-staffed. So there's only 2 of us. Me, the new hire, my first day, and then the other girl was one of the girls that oriented me. And so I was like, well, at least I know who the other person is, and at least I know I can ask her for help if I need it, right? So nursing is something else, and I'm sure you guys have seen tons of videos of nurses complaining about being short-staffed. Yes, short-staffing was always an issue, and it still is. So it was a full house on that floor. There was no bed unoccupied. They were all occupied. And I think there were 39 residents altogether on that floor. We each got like half of that. So I think I had 17, and she had, no. I had 19, and she had 20. Only because I was a new hire and they wanted to give me some stuff. 19 residents by yourself? Like, and it was my first day. Okay. Let's say it took me 4 hours to attend to 4 patients. 4. Took me 4. No, I take that back. Took me 2 hours to attend to 4 people. 2 hours to attend to 4 people. Because I forgot how to do some things. And it just, like, I didn't know where, I forgot where things were. I had to take, the vital signs. You gotta take vital signs, right? That took forever. You have to do that first before you even start attending to your patients. So that took a lot of time to do 19 people. That's a lot. It takes a long time. We didn't have the cuffs. We had like the actual, the original hand pumping blood pressure cuffs. And you know, it's just, it was a lot. And like, I didn't finish my first round of attending my patients until 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock. My shift started at 11. I couldn't even take my lunch break. I was crying. I was so exhausted. I had nothing to eat. I couldn't even eat. I only had water. Because it was 4 o'clock by the time I finished and had some water, and I had to start again. I had to do the same thing that I did when my shift started, all over again for all 19 people. If it's like, and then I had to document for each patient, and that takes like 20 minutes, whatever. And I was crying. I called my mom like before, like a little bit before 4 when I was throwing out the trash. And I was calling her, crying my eyes out. And then to top it off, the RN that was supervising us that night was so mean. She had a reputation for being mean and loud and like just rude. So like she was like nagging at me the whole time. It was like I couldn't even find the other girl I was working with. I could never find her. So I'm calling my mom, crying on the phone. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm going to quit tomorrow. Like this, like I couldn't do it. Like I needed somebody to vent to. Like I had no one else, right? And I was like in the moment, like I need some support right now so I can get through my shift. And she just tells me, shut the F up and keep effing working. You need to make some money. I need help, and don't be crying like a little, okay, just giving it to me over the phone, like suck it up, like just the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, are you nuts? Like, I forget why I don't call you, you know. And I just hung up because I just couldn't, like, I couldn't deal with it. And so I finished my shift. I couldn't even chart. I couldn't even document like what happened during my shift to my residents and just everything else. I couldn't do it. The monitor switched to the morning shift. So I had to tell my supervisor I didn't chart. She's like, oh, well, here's the papers. You can chart here. And I'm like, I was relieved, but then also I was like, I have to stay here longer now. But then I get paid, I guess. So that took like 30 minutes for me to chart, because I've never, like, I've only done it in less than a handful of times. So I like forget what the symbol is and who's who and what room number is who. And so I was just bawling my eyes out on the way home. And from there, okay, we went to a junior college to enroll me in and take the entrance exam. While I'm still bawling and everything, like I want it, and I'm tired, I am exhausted, I'm hungry, okay, because remember, I had no break. I worked literally for 8 hours straight, and I was so traumatized that after I slept, I got up and I went on my phone and I timed myself changing a patient. I said, I'm gonna give myself 2 minutes to change this patient. Started the timer, acted as I like made up like a little pad and a little diaper. Like I did what I could, and I was like, so that the next time I go in, hopefully it shouldn't take me as long as it did. And it worked for the most part. I got that down. Like, I was like, I am never gonna go through that again. That was horrible. And then they started and then they put me into a different floor, which was the subacute floor that I was telling you about earlier. When I first saw my subacute resident, I didn't even want to touch them. I was like, they look like they're ready to not be here anymore. Like, they were still pale. They got all of these tubes. I was like, I don't want to touch them. I don't want to accidentally pull anything out. Like, I am not about to get involved with this. But somehow I did it, and it took me, like, so every time my mom would take me into work, because I didn't have a car yet, I felt like dread at the bottom of my stomach, and that happened every time I went into work for the first 6 months. It was 6 months that I had that gut feeling of like, oh man, this is not a good feeling, like just dread, you know. And I'm like, it's a new job, it's a whole new, it's a big step that you're taking, you know. New job. This is a very intense kind of job for like an 18-year-old, you know. And like, it was just so traumatizing at first. But then I started getting to know people, and like I knew who to speak to, who to stay away from, and I learned tricks and tips and all these things after being there for a bit, you know. And then like you just start figuring things out on your own, and you get your own little routine going. Like you start doing your own thing. And so then I started to get very comfortable, and then you know, and then it was better from then on out. But I did that for, let's see, I started in 2014, at the end of 2014, and I went on maternity leave in 2022. So I did it for about almost 8 years. Almost 8 years I was doing it. I worked at the first subacute / rehab facility for about 5 years, and then I quit there, and then I was working at a mainly long-term care facility for the next 3 years. So I mean, like, I just finished, after I went on maternity leave, I was like, there's no way on this earth that I am going back to that job. Like, it's just not for me. The mental toll that nursing takes on you, especially certified nursing assisting, is not worth it. Nope. I have injured myself physically from being a certified nursing assistant. I can't even tell you how many times I've been verbally, mentally all abused. Okay, we all go through it. We just kind of have to like make a joke out of it, because it's like, what else can you do, you know? While I was pregnant, like, the abuse just continued, and it's like crazy. I'm like, I don't want my baby feeling any kind of bad vibes coming from outside of me, because like, no. And I was just so stressed all the time, and I would complain to my then boyfriend about it all the time, and he was like, you need to leave. And I was like, well, this isn't my only income. What am I supposed to do? This is all I know. That's all I know, you know. So I'm glad that, you know, I had the experience for those 8 years. So I have that under my belt, you know, and I've learned other things, and, you know, it was overall a good experience. But I would not go back to it. It's just not for me. And yeah, so that was my first job, and my experience with that job and how it went and everything. And I hope that you found it pretty interesting. It's kind of like crazy when I think about it, and I'm like, wow, like, I can't believe I went through that, you know, like, just the whole step of finding a job and then getting introduced into nursing. It's like, at 18, like, wow. And yeah, so I'm happy that I was able to get on here and make a video for you guys. I thought about this the other day about my job, and I thought I want to just tell people, like, just my experience, and just see what they have to say, and if they had any similar experiences, if they're in the nursing field, if they can relate. And yeah, I think I like doing story times. I really enjoy them, so I might do some more. Let me know what you think, and I hope that you guys have a very relaxing day, evening,